Welcome to the Sports Betting Preview Show, a pregame.com podcast. This is segment 3, Big Game Preview. We're going to take a look at the NBA playoff matchup Saturday, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Chicago Bulls. Round 1, Game 1, Vegas Runner, tell me the numbers.
Good series here. All right, the series price, are you ready?
I'm ready.
CAVS minus 2,500.
2,500.
And the take back on Chicago is plus 1,600. Nice vig in there for the house to make a little profit.
Wow.
When you
I don't think I've ever seen, I mean, we've been around.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a series
opening
price?
series this high? Man, it's ridiculous. But then when you look at what the odds are, future odds to win it all, it kind of makes sense. Cavs are only 2-1 to win the whole thing. Bulls are 175 to 1.
Wow.
So when you look at the future odds, it kind of makes sense why we're looking at such a high series price as well. But again, I can't see too many people going to run to the window to lay 2,500 to win 100 on Cleveland, who we saw last year was supposed to get to the championship as well, and that didn't happen. And this Bull team just may be young enough and talented enough to push them, because they're 5-0 against them in the playoffs. You know, obviously that's historical. You know,
Yeah.
So how much does it pertain to today?
I think they had They have some guy playing there back then when that was.
Exactly. But when you look even a little closer during this year, you know, Chicago's played them okay. They've played them tough. They got some talent on that team. I think the problem with Chicago is, bottom line, they're just not deep. When you look at that team, it's filled with top-notch starters, and they're a team that's going to be great, I think, in the future. Once they get past the little problems they're having in interior with Del Negro and John Paxson. And
What do you put the odds on that matchup?
Dude, Paxson's minus 500 now. I already knocked him out. But when Paxson beats you up, man, I mean, it's time to leave town. So I don't know if Del Negro is going to be back next year. But this Bulls team was actually preparing for the future. They more or less admitted to giving up on this year as far as we're planning for the future. They gave up Thomas early in the season during the trade deadline. They didn't try to pick up any missing piece. They're going with youth. You know, they got Derrick Rose, #1 draft pick, who's showing why he is who he is. You have Noah, who everyone loves to play with. He's that guy who I think, although he doesn't get the points, is an elite player, because he does everything that no one else wants to do.
He's the glue.
You got that one guy who's willing to do whatever the team needs done. So they respect him because of that, and that's huge. And I like this nucleus they're building in Chicago, and I think in the offseason, with so many stars possibly going to free agency, if they could pick up a missing piece or two, you know, they're looking at a bright future. But today, they're just outclassed by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's tell it like it is. This team's poised to get to the championship and win one. They got Shaq there. I mean, they brought in Jameson. They got the pieces. They're deep now, too. They don't just have LeBron and company. The company actually has some star players, some quality there, that he has depth. There's no excuse. You got a couple centers. You got a couple power forwards. You got a couple guards. I mean, you got what it takes to at least represent the East. And I think they should come out extremely focused, especially after last year.
Yeah, they haven't got over, you know, losing last year to Orlando. Answer me this. If they do not get to the finals and win, I mean, I think it's anything short of the finals is an
failure.
Failure. But I think, like you said, this is the year they've pulled out every stop to get it done this year. If they don't, is LeBron back next year?
No. I think the only way he comes back, Marco, is if he has a title to defend. And then you kind of don't want to leave the city hanging when you know, you're the defending champ. It's like winning the title belt and saying, you know, I'm not going to defend it.
Right.
I won the heavyweight championship of the world. That's enough for me. You know, I don't think he'll be able to leave if that happens, just because of that pressure of defending the championship. If they don't, he's gone.
He's gone.
He's either the Russian in New Jersey is going to pay him the most obscene amount of money ever heard, or New York, someone is going to pick him up, dude. He's going to go to the money, and he's got to go to the money.
He's going to get money wherever he
Right.
But if it comes to, if a ring is what he's looking for,
you ain't going to get it done there. I don't think.
New Jersey, it's a ring around the toilet bowl. So
you got an owner who's willing to buy a championship, he says, but we haven't seen that work out too well. I mean, look at Cuban. He tried that a couple times and failed.
Yeah, he does have the number 2 seed in the West this year.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll see what happens. This is going to be your free pick, Cleveland, Chicago.
I got to tell you, I'm not one to lay chalk early, but I think this is a position where you got to take Cleveland or leave the game alone. And at the number of 10.5, I'm willing to lay that with Cleveland. I'm going to tell you why. This Cleveland team reminds me of 2 years ago, bear with me, the Philadelphia Phillies. The year prior, they were poised to make a big run. Hamill was having his best year pitching. Make a long story short, Colorado came in hot as anything and surprised them and knocked them out in that wild card round. Following year, Phillies come back. And what did they do in the playoffs? They pretty much swept everybody and went on to beat Tampa and be champs. And I remember listening before the playoffs started and hearing players like Jimmy Rollins' exact words, last year was a wake-up call. We realized you can't just turn it on when you want. Every game's important, so we need to play every game like it's for a championship. And the team grabbed that motto and played with it through the whole playoffs and didn't give anyone a chance to even think that they could beat them. And I think Cleveland looks like that kind of team where they're saying they were able down the stretch to get the rest they wanted. They have the pieces. I think they have the maturity. And I think now's the time where they say, let's just go out there and annihilate people, not even let them think they have a chance to win this series. And if anything, I think it's game 1 where it'll be a little too overwhelming for Chicago, and it should get ugly late.
Well, I'll chime in. I don't have an official pick here, and again, your free picks are 19 and 9. I'm a little skeptical. I haven't made a decision yet on this game. What I'm skeptical of is the fact that Cleveland really did shut
everything down.
They shut everything down the last week and a half, and that really bothers me. And people are going to look and say, Chicago shouldn't even be in the playoffs. They got lucky because of Bosch getting the injury, getting his face caved in, is the only thing that got Chicago in here, because Toronto had the 8th seed locked up, and and then they went in a absolute slide, the last 2 weeks of the season. I think that Chicago might be able to come in here, keep it close in one of these first 2 games.
I think game 2. That's what I think. I think my reasoning was Cavs get all over this team in game 1, blow them out, and then game 2, Chicago lets them know they're in for a series.
Fat and sassy.
But I think I just think if this team puts their A game on the floor, they're more than 10 points better than Chicago.
I agree with you 100%. My concern is,
will they put that A game?
Will they do that A game? Because, teams are not light switches.
You can't.
You can say it all you want.
Yeah, they're always going to say the right things. Sure.
Your rhythm, we've seen it so many times in football, timing and rhythm and everything.
Sure.
And let's face it, even though the Bulls may or may not have backed their way into the playoffs, they had to play the final week where every game was a must-win situation to get into the playoffs the way they did. And so they do have momentum going in. Granted, the momentum is a 500 team in the playoffs with the 8th seed, but that's why there's a point spread. So VR's official free pick is to take Cleveland and lay the points. Now go to pregame.tv. You can make your own prediction on this game. If you predict the final score right on the money, we'll give you $100 of pregame dollars. And don't forget, you can check all of our podcasts out. Go to iTunes, search pregame.com. You'll be able to see all of our podcasts. This was segment 3. We're going to be right back with segment 4. We're going to take a look at a baseball series this weekend. Colorado invades Atlanta, so be sure to check that out. It's coming up next. Vegas Runner, I'm Marco D'Angelo. Thanks for watching.